what's up, YouTube fam? It's Archangel's Journey. It is a beautiful morning. I am actually able to sit outside for a change. It is what, 8:23 a.m. on a Saturday. It is so gorgeous and finally warm enough to sit outside at this time. So woo! Anyway, so after my freak out last week, and as I mentioned in my last video, I needed to take a step back and find my zen and patience and all that jazz. So I told myself this week, and I wrote it in my journal, will not trade. I will just tape read the whole week. And man, if I had just traded, I would have been out of debt. Well, drawdown. But I'm proud of myself for sticking to it. Tape read, updated my journal with screenshots and all that good stuff. And let's take a look at what happened this week, right? Let's take a look, right? Let's get kitties here chilling, walking around on the deck, enjoying, oh, this breeze though. This breeze. All right, so let's get Tiny. All right, cool. So let's talk about Let's talk about Friday first. And like I said, I dropped into. Sorry, I think he wants to go inside. Let's talk about like the Friday trade setups that I saw, right? So we've got 1 minute here, 5 minute here, and this is 15 minutes over here. And I have another one that's let me open up this guy. So I've been using two screens and watching this one on the 1 hour 15 for all the new week opening gaps and stuff, trying to keep this chart cleaner, right? Hey, buddy. Okay. Oh, it feels great. Okay, so the 10 a.m. Friday trade that I had in mind, right? It's really, really interesting. So this is the 8:30 drama, and then 9:30 came and did all of this. So if we look really closely, we had a nice shift here on the 1 minute. Actually, let's take a look. Let's go from the higher time frames down, right? Let's do that. Let's go that way. Oh, and just to be clear, right, like my general bias was bullish. Why? Because if we take a look at what's this? Oh, it's been updated. Wow, since last night. I didn't even realize. Anyway, so let's take a look at the weekly. I had outlined in my thing this volume imbalance right here that I expected them to dive into. And having done that, they've created another one below it. So well, not a, it's just a volume imbalance. There's a wick, but they went, it was pretty monolithic. So they were digging into this yesterday. So that's what I was expecting, and that's what I expected them to dive into. So I was, it's as ICT says, when it's trending, it's much easier to actually trade. So let's take a look at and just so you know, this gray here is my volume imbalance that I've been if you open it up, so the liquidity void, sorry, weekly is what this is. Anyway, and then I'd already outlined the cosmic encroachment of the week on the monthly as well. So that was another target. So this so 10 o'clock. So this is what 10 o'clock looked like on Friday on the 15 minutes. We're up, down, up, down. And so on this, I probably wouldn't have touched it until it left here. But on the 5 minute, we get a little bit more context, right? So let's use this one since it's got the market sessions on it, and just go up to 5 minutes, right? Right. So 10 o'clock. The right day. That's Thursday when they dug back into that opening range gap I was expecting, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So still Thursday. My afternoon trade, they never quite made it up there from here, but we'll come back to that. All right, so let's deal with the Friday, and then we'll go Thursday, and then we'll go Wednesday and review. So 10 o'clock. So 8:30 we had this wick wick. And what did that create? So we had a nice shift up, and they made this like, you know, fair value gap. They rolled back down into it, which made this a balanced price range, right? So what did we have once this got created, right? We've got, in my mind, a low, lower low traded through. Well, not here, because my entry was set up over here somewhere. But at 10 o'clock, on the lower time frames, I was able to see a breaker, fair value gap, and I had a number of options. But continuation, order block right here as a potential, but not quite. So let's dig into it a little bit more. I know I'm saying crazy things, but but anyway. So in this guy, we had this fair value gap period right here on the 4 minutes, which they traded through, created another shift, and then traded back down into, and it took off. So another 3 minute. Hang on. Kitty needs to be let in. Just gonna pause for a hot second. All right, sorry about that. Kitty wanted to go back inside. I assume he's hungry. Let's get resituated here really quickly. Okay, so let's try and figure out what I saw, right, at the time. This is on the 3 minute. We already had the shift. I obviously saw a breaker down here, so I assume I saw it in a much lower time frame. And I was expecting, since this was a BISI, this came back to rebalance it. I wasn't expecting them to really come too far down, waiting to see what the potential entry was here, as I've already forgotten. So we had a shift here, and then I was looking to see if we had like a fair value gap on the lower time frame. So let's drop to 2 minutes. And look at that area. Because what you can't see on other time frames, you can see on the lowest time frames. Okay. Oh, look at me, right? So on the 2 minutes, low, lower low, shifted through, and I'd specify this breaker, which needs to be brighter because I could not see it just now. Let's change the color. I think I'm going to need to change this breaker color to like a light green. Not even that color, like a light green. Light, light, light. Even lighter. Okay. All right. So I'd seen this breaker that was created. We had this shift, low, lower low, shifted through. Tallest green candle is the breaker. So on the 2 minutes, actually wider. Let me see, what did it look like on the 5 minute? Now that I can see it. No, it must have been on the 1 minute then that I specified it. Let's check here. Might even have been the 30 seconds. Either way, low, lower low, traded through, breaker, we had, and order block. So if I adjust this down considerably right here, the general expectation then, 10 o'clock, beautifully done, rolled right into the whole breaker to hit this order block on the 1 minute, and then took off. And now this first leg of the run, let's say you were super precise, and actually, let's see if we could be even more precise. Go on 15 seconds. We'll come back to you because I'm really loving these lower time frame stuff, right? Because I think on the 15 seconds where I saw the second entry option right here, boom. Great. So on the 15 seconds, same scenario. They stopped at a volume imbalance right there and then took off. But the 1 minute would have been more than enough for this particular entry right here. Boom. So let's see. If we take in this entry right here at the top of that order block, I like a nice 8 tick stop if I can get away with it. That would have been like in here. But if you look at it, right, It's a relatively balanced price range, right? We shifted up, but we're still in the space. There's no really reason to like roll through. It's not like this, right? Where there's nothing to the left or right of it, right? Until here. And now this becomes balanced, right? This is where they're balancing it and then leaving the area is the general expectation. Anyway, so if you take in this right here, and like I said, my entire expectation, where is it? Right here. My entire expectation was for this to be filled, right? If I'd held this trade, like how far I was thinking like midpoint, right? So constant caution right there, and I was thinking maybe midpoint, really expecting them to take the whole thing. But let's say we were aiming for midpoint of that thing. So somewhere approximately about from here, constant caution is almost at midpoint, get a few ticks above it. That's 144 ticks. Just holding it from here, and that would have taken from here an hour and 2 minutes. But this would have been an hour and 2 minutes of me managing this trade going all the way up, right? So I was doing that, and I think I deleted the stop loss stuff, but as you can see, I was looking at this entry after the fact. I think I had a meeting at 10 o'clock, so I wasn't looking at this particular one, but I had outlined it as an option. And I was like, oh, well, they gave us another opportunity here to re-enter, right? And that was another choice with another breaker that they busted through right there. Take it, keep going. But if I was going to manage it and I was starting from here, then, obviously my stop's all the way down here. Well, just below the breaker, really. So like here. And then as it's going up, we haven't even made it halfway to where I want it to go. So once it hits the halfway point, like I move it up to break even. And then, as we start to like make these structures, and it's best to like look at it on the 5 minutes as you're toggling, I would say, right? As you're toggling through and, find structures to keep moving it up. As you can see, they dug pretty deeply into it. They didn't finish off because I was expecting them to take the whole thing. They didn't. They came close though. In any case. So that was one option that I saw that I was tracking. So once it took out these highs right here, would have moved my stop up. We have like all these little order blocks. Once it took that out and made this thing moved away, stop under here, continue up until, we finally got our take profits. This one would have taken a little bit longer until there. And then the afternoon didn't really give us a ton, right? Like at 2 o'clock. Or did it? So look, shift, right? And I believe this is a fair value gap from a higher time frame. They came back down, took folks out. And then inside of here, we would have had an entry on the 15-second, I believe. So let's take a look. 15 or 10 seconds, something like that. Well, half of the clue for me here is the fact that they made these lows, took them out. They hadn't really taken any highs out, right? Not really, just been dropping. So my thought was, we're inside of this shift right here, boom, this fair value gap, right? And if we look really, really closely on the 15-second, low, traded through. So we have a breaker in this general vicinity, right? It's not the best breaker, but it is a breaker. And, within the breaker, as long as your stop is below here, let's see what that would have looked like. So if your breaker's in this general vicinity, let's say you want to, oh, well, I have it in there. I have it on here already. Yeah, with the stop right onto here, boom, look at that. Got to sit through this little bit of chop here. And then this was me managing it in the afternoon, right? Literally, I was like, this is perfect entry, and it just took off. It's like beautiful. So then I just kept watching it, and then we started making new plateaus, I kept adjusting like it rolled up above here and I was still waiting for it to go higher. My take profit was actually above here somewhere. I think I took it off. And then once we started moving up, I made this and I was like, okay, so I want to see if it's going to take this out. And if I'm being honest, my actual exit, had I been really manually doing it, would have been under here. But I moved it down here because I was like, this is where it should have been, right? And let me grab, oops, hang on 2 seconds. Sorry about that. I was gonna grab my screenshot of my from my journal really quickly, just to show you guys. But it would have been a really good trading week for me if I had hit the button. Like, IC's not kidding about if it's trending, it's really, really a different copy this. So I think I did remove some of my notes. So let me grab a dark space here. Let's drop it here. I um, copy. So I would have made off with 94 ticks in that afternoon. Seriously, why can't I paste this in? Sometimes, I think I had the same problem before when I tried to copy. Okay, I think I had to like use a snipping tool or something. Oh, Kitty's returned. He must have gone upstairs and got some. Okay, I'm gonna have to use the snipping tool. Okay, let's copy that and just share that instead. I think that'll share. So annoying. Okay, yeah, that will share. So this is my PM session. Oh, sorry. This is the AM session. My bad. Let me need that too, but oh, I didn't take a screenshot. Oh, I didn't take a screenshot. Silly me. But that's okay. We can look at the AM session delivery that I was tracking. It's tracking it quite beautifully, I think. So you see from what I was talking about, I did have the breaker here and I was estimating here and I kept moving, boom, boom. And this is where I should have left my stop, but I had it up here and I kept calculating how many ticks it was too. So from the AM session, they never made it to my take profit. I would have taken 94 ticks. And for the PM session, I obviously did not take a screenshot, which is stupid. So what can you do? Let's delete that. So this is where my stop would have been. So on the PM session, I need to take a screenshot of this. I was saying if it passed this, then we're definitely going to continue on down. And it did. And how many ticks was that? Let's bring it back down here. So once I got stopped out, so 24 ticks on that. If I'd taken it up here, 40. I was hoping they'd finish eating up the rest of that. But it would have been a 94 ticks in the morning and 24 ticks under here. Shift, low, lower, low breaker right here. So I would have expected them to continue up again. So I would have wanted my stop just below the breaker, which is where I put it. And then, it roll back up. I think once they made this low right here, I probably would have said, well, they're not going back up and left. It's on the 15 second. Let's look at the 1 minute. Yeah. So I would have expected them to continue on up. They sort of did, right? Low, lower, low inside the breaker. They went back up, but they didn't crest it. So once they made this lower low, lower high, that was the end of that. All right, cool. So that was Friday. And oh, you know what? Sorry about that. Let me make a screenshot because I obviously forgot to do it yesterday. For the PM session setup. I also outlined another option that happened at 12:20. And that would have been a nice run. Like I was still outlining this like 95 ticks there. They stopped here at 69, but similar scenario at 12:30, low, lower low, traded through. We had the breaker, but they didn't really respect the breaker on the 1 minute. They dropped down to this order block down here and then took off. But I had outlined it as an option. Let's see what it looked like on the 15 seconds. Oh, that's the 10. Still look at it. So I think there was a fair value gap and a breaker down there. So this level, yeah. So on the 15-second, low, lower low, shifted through. We had the breaker right here. They traded into it, tapped this order block right here, and then took off. Honestly, like the sheer amount of precision that you get with dropping down, like once you see what you need on the higher time frames and you drop down to the 1 minute, 15 seconds, 10 seconds, it is wow. Like this whole week, I'm just like, holy crap. And then when I think to myself about how ICT knows when a fair value gap is not going to get filled, right? That's incredible. Like here we are, you know, fair value gap here, but when you look at it, look around it, right? It's full of stuff. So they ran away from it. They didn't come back to it. And then they came back down now to take out sell stops, right? And then took off. But then I had outlined to myself, we had lower, lower, low trading, waiting for this to come back. Waiting to see what it was going to do. It kept taking out sell stops, sell stops, sell stops. Good entry. Not quite the exact model, but one that I think is slowly forming in my brain that I see over and over starting to happen. All right. So that was that. Let's roll back the clock to Thursday. So the 10:30 session for Thursday, man, no, that was mwah. Like I had outlined, if I'd taken this, look at this beautiful, beautiful setup. Opening range gap, they'd left most of it open from Wednesday. They hadn't gone back up to it. So I was waiting for an indication that they were going to do that. So Thursday, 10 o'clock came around and we had this higher time frame breaker. Again, it is so dark. Let me lighten it up for you. Look at this breaker. Now let's back up. I'm pretty sure for this one, I was looking at like the 15 minutes. Let's see. It's Friday. Okay, let's back up. Look at me, come to mama. Trying to like hype myself up. Anyway, so I have a breaker outlined here. So I think it must be on the 5 minute, but there is an order block on here. Obviously, we have an order block. We're reaching through this one. These two lowest down candles order block reach through. I have to assume that I specify this on the 5 minute then. Let's back up out of my liquidity void. They still need to finish it up, so I expect that they will. Okay, so let's look at the 5 minute and see what I was outlining, right? So this is the breaker. So I was thinking low, lower low. We traded through highest green candles, all of that. Bust through and order block, right? So what is this? I think this is like a fair value gap on the 4 hour. So I'd outlined a few things. There's an old high with a fair value gap in it that they tapped here and took off from. Beautiful. Another fair value gap inside of it. The new week opening gap down here. But from this breaker, I could have taken the entry here. But I waited to see, because they've been going down, they were consolidating, drew the swing, and then went up. They had a nice shift here, which is what I was hoping for, right? Beautiful shift. They left a fair value gap right here. All right. So order block, fair value gap. This is more than enough for an entry to go up, right? So let's look at the 1 minute. It's most positive. I looked at like the 15 seconds and found something even more juicy. All right, so we had a breaker black down here. Technically, there's a volume imbalance right here, and we had this higher time frame order block. We had the shift. If we drop down, and I'm just gonna hit the replay button and bring us back over to here. So when I drop down here, I don't have to keep scrolling super far. Okay. So when we drop down to where it actually came down in here, we can see almost the 2022 model, right? Taken. They consolidated a bit then, but they shifted, right? Shifted. This volume imbalance is an opportunity for them to come back down if they wanted to, high or low. The shift came up here. Did we have something juicy for them to return to here? They had this right there. Next would have been this. But look at the area. Like, it's a pretty balanced price range for the most part, except for this void right here. But there's not a ton of reason for them to roll back down all the way back down here. And look at this wick. This wick, so it's a pass up and pass up, pass down, 1, 2, 3, right? Even if there's a void, there's 3 passes. So they came and like just, it's the open of this candle, 41.8150, and the low of this candle, 41.8150. They just came and tapped the base of that and took off. And then you've gotten an even better entry right here, shifted through, right? Fair, low, lower low, traded through. Ball breaker right here, order block, all that stuff. Beautiful entry right there. Beautiful entry. Diving into this guy right here. Oops, touched up. And I think so I had 2 on Thursday. It was hilarious. I had 2 opportunities. So the first one was this one where I was like, bam. And I think that was 64 ticks. Let's see if this was the right entry no, I think I got like an earlier entry, but there were 2 options and I was like running through and I had like, and let's take a look at my screenshots for Thursday. So I had 2 silver bullets. Okay, right here. Let's copy I'm gonna have to snip it. Hold on. Let's get a snipper. Snippy snip. That's a weird looking snip. Actually, let's snip again. Like that. Okay. Did I get it? Yes. 6-1. Okay. Now I can copy this. Copy. Okay. So from here, let's see, what was I doing, right? So my screenshot, right, for my records, so I can look back and see what I was thinking. Yeah, and this was on the 15-second. Yeah, it's on the 15-second. So exactly what I was thinking, and I was like, I wanted to tap the base of this because it was entering into the new week opening gap and the other gap. The my brain is farting, whatever. The opening range gap, right? So there's the gray one's a new week opening gap, and the other one's opening range gap. So I said I was like, okay, cool, let's book through, and let's take profit up here, book it, done, beautiful. So it was a nice looking thing, right? So this is what I was outlining. Actually, the entry was down here. That's why it was 64 ticks from the shift. I was thinking the top of this fair value, this volume imbalance, and yeah, 63 ticks. And then as the morning progressed, right? Let's go back to the 1 minute. I was like, oh my gosh. So we had a lower time frame 64 tick entry right there. Beautiful. But then we also had low, lower, low, shifted through, breaker right here. Look at it. Beautiful. Beautiful breaker on the, this is on the 1 minute. So to break out 1 foot where a constant encroachment of something, and let's, I need to change the color of this so it's easier to see. Not that color. Not that color. I need to look at this color wheel. I want it to be a light green or something. Whatever. Breaker. Order block inside, 2 order blocks inside the breaker, but there's no fair value gap in here, no fair value gap in here. So let's drop down to the 15-second and see if there is a fair value gap to make this work for why they would come all the way back down. And there is just this weird little volume imbalance. Look at that. Look at the 30 seconds. Oh my goodness. I can't. Nothing on the 30 seconds except for the order blocks in here. So on the 15-second, we have this guy right here. I think that's why I was like, oh, heck yeah. Let's look at the 10-second. Oh. He is not joking, bruh. Look at that. Look at that reason for an area, for an entry. That is a volume imbalance right there inside of this breaker. Beautiful. 8 could have had a beautiful 8 tick stop loss below that and go and go and go and go. And my thought was at the bare minimum, and this is hard to see, 135 ticks. Let's go ahead and fill this gap. And then why not take out the previous day's high as well for, okay, that's where I stopped, for 135 ticks. Like beautiful, beautiful entries. Now, guys, let me connect my paper trading accounts. I have not touched it, right? 17,605. So let's think about the just Thursday alone, right? So that 135 tick divided by 4 times $50 a contract. That's 1687.50, right? So 1687 plus 17,605 would have been 19,292, right? Boom. Beautiful. If I'd taken the trades, right, that I wanted to, then if I'd gotten my 63 ticks divided by 4 before this other big one, right, times 50, that would have been another $787.50, right? Okay, so let's keep adding that up, right? Plus 787.50. Now, 2 trades, I would have been at 20,080 cents. I'd have been back to break even on Thursday, just with 2 trades. Then we could have factored in all the things that happened on Friday. So at $20,080 plus that 94 ticks, right? So 94 ticks divided by 4 times 50. Another $1,000 on top of my 20,080. So I would have been at 21,255 back into profit if I'd taken those trades. I mean, amazing. It would have been beautiful. But I had a plan and I stuck with it. So I'm proud of myself. Even though I would have liked to fix my drawdown. And then there's 25 ticks right here. Not 250. Little 300, something like that. Anyway, so then let's take a look. Let me look at my so the 5:30, I would have had a nice silver bullet, 10 a.m. silver bullet on 5:31 a.m. session. I did not do the afternoon session, I was busy. But let's dig what's going on. Let's dig into 15 seconds, sorry about that. 10 seconds. Let's dig back into the 1 minute here. So that was the opening range. Come to mama. Boom. Look at that. Beautiful. Anyway, so let's take a look at Wednesday, right? So This week would have been amazing for me if I had traded. Amazing, but I did not. But guess what? There's always more. So something else that I thought was really freaking incredible, and maybe let's see if we can look at it on 5 minute first. Let's dig over here. Something is biting me. All right, so 7 something, 11 something. So the 10 a.m. time frame's here. There's my, and then I'll clean up this chart for next week and we can take a look at where where we might be drawing to. All right, so this was 9:45. I'd outlined, and I'll before I say anything, right? I'm going to drop. So I had 2 session options. One I would have actually let me do my snipping thing. Hang on. Okay. Let's get a copy of this to share with you guys. So my tape reading this week has been awesome. So let me show you. I need to have the same level of confidence hitting the button. But this week would have been beautiful backup week. So this one, 5:31, first of the AM session setups. Like this would have been, so this wick, what is this on the 1 minute, right? So this would have been, this was my entry. We had volume imbalance in here. There's a bearish order block in the space, and I was expecting Joel's job opening stuff. This was at the 9:30 opening or whatever, or is it 10? I gotta check. Oh yeah, it says Joel's job opening at 10 a.m. here. So I was hoping for like a quick hit, but they came and ate the whole thing, all of it, which is fine. But that was like a short little like thing I was looking at. So here we are. So what I was thinking, let's drop to the 1 minute to look at that. So I had this bearish order block outlined on the other side. We had this shift, this fair value gap definitely needed to be filled. This one had an order block, and looks like they just wanted to take folks out. They just swung through. They didn't even like take anybody out. Stop loss over here would have been fine. And if I've been crazy, taken like an entry at this order block up here, probably here, from my screenshot, I gotta be checking. So this stop would have been unpalatable to me, so I would have had to move it up here to get a little bit less of it, right above that. 12 ticks there. And then I was aiming for the base of that new opening gap. So a nice little run. But if I'm going with the 10 o'clock time frame, and let me grab a screenshot. The screenshot from the 10 a.m. silver bullet on the 15-second, y'all. I really love these seconds. It's empowering, y'all. It's empowering. So let's take a quick gander at my journal entry here. All right. So I do this, try and keep everything in order. So I had I'm gonna have to zoom in even more on this one. I don't know if I can. So I had what is essentially a shift and a continuation, like the first fair value gap that formed, I would have taken an entry from there and then dropped down to the base of the fair value gap, which is what I was expecting. And that would have been a fair value gap from like, far up. And then I was managing everything. It's like come to here, but I was like thinking it was going to go lower. So I was adjusting my stop down, and eventually I would have gotten stopped out there. Let's delete that. So let's drop this down to a 15-second to see. Because look, let's zoom in on this spot, right? It's 10 a.m. Do we have any fair value gaps in here? No. No. Right? Not a one. So let's look at this on the 15-second. Actually, let's look at the 30-second first, because I don't think I even looked at the 30 seconds on that one. Where'd it go? Sorry, guys, hang on. Because of this was on the Wednesday, right? Let's go back. Where'd it go? 3 o'clock. This is too late. 7 here. Okay. I'm gonna have to hit the replay button so we can see what was happening in this spot. Something changed? Oh, this is Tuesday. Sorry, went back too far. Tuesday. Hold on. What happened? I get lost. I was here. Yeah, Wednesday. Here. A continuation down. I'm gonna hit the replay button so I can get down to the 15 seconds without. Let's look at the 30-second. All right. So in this space here, the 10 o'clock time frame, it's still thinking about it. All right. So we obviously have a nice shift here. Any fair value gaps? No. So he's not kidding. You need to like dig down into the time frames to find what you're looking for. Okay. So on the 15-second, let's see. We have a balanced space here. Shift. And where is it? Man, my eyesight. Let me come back. Because I think I was making look at my screenshot here. Let me zoom in because I can barely see. Silver bullet. 15 seconds. What time was that? It's like the smallest fair value gap on the 15-second. Just make sure I'm looking at the right spot. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. It's my eyes. Hard to see. Ah, there it is, right there. So I couldn't see it for a hot second. So there's that one. And there's also this one right here. That formed, yeah, that's the one, sorry. So after this shift formed right there, so that's where I was thinking as a continuation, base of that. 8 ticks there, and then write it down. Expected them to eat more into, I was thinking they would take out yesterday's low. They didn't. So I ended up, as I was trailing my stop here, 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 I finally got stopped out right around there. So that would have been about 35 ticks. Not the best, but, I would have taken it and been happy. So this one's more of a continuation as it was going down, right? And then let's take a look at the 10 seconds. Was there even more opportunities? More clarity to be seen? Oh my God. Shift. Uh, eh, Still the best option right here. There's this one though. Boom, boom. Quick hit, quick drop. But it has to follow the mold, right? All of these have one thing in common. For what I was aiming for, it had more than 10 handles. Sorry, yeah, more than 10 handles, right? So 40 ticks available, right? And that was what was important about those. But anyway. All right, so and as I do the calculation, I could have been like a good, you know, I could be almost $2,000 in the black if I'd taken any of the trades that I saw this week. Any of them. Any of them. But I didn't. So let's take a quick look at what's available for this week. Let me calibrate myself on my new week opening gap, and then we'll close this one out. Let's get back tiny. And let's dip over to here. All right. So let me take this off. They've already taken all that. All right. So what have they done? So we closed here. So let me start my blue. That. So we'll see where they open. They have not taken all of this yet. There's still more for them to dig into. If they want to continue on up, I believe the seasonal tendency right now um is for a little bit of bullishness. Let's take a quick look at it. So we're in June. In most recent years, it's been 2 and 5 years. This is a time for growth. Take those off. Yeah, so on the 10-year growth, on the 15 up, on the 20 up. So we have a little bit of a upswing. Looks like we might continue with that. It's not going to make it all the way through. We do have maybe about mid-June, going into mid-June, that will start dropping. But at the beginning of June, it looks like it likes to tick up. Anyway, so what have they done? They've created a giant volume imbalance right inside of the previous week's new week opening gap. So that could be a draw if they decide to turn around. I personally expect them to close this. And if they're going to roll back up, it's this volume imbalance up here that I think would be the next draw if they're going to continue up. Might take a while though, but those are the two primary things I'd be looking at. And from a daily perspective, you know, if they're going to come back down, we have this bullish order block in close proximity. But for now, I will just my aims would be just these volume imbalances at the new week opening gaps, and this one, which is going to be the 6-4-23. That's going to start up. That's the right. Okay, and we'll see how they choose to open up. And then I will take trades next week as I see what I'm looking for and nothing else. Every single time I've been chopped up, and let's use my back testing to showcase this. Every single time that I've been chopped up, let's go to in previous weeks, every single time I've been sitting in some choppy area. So let's dig the week. All right, let's clean that up. All right. You see me back test. Let's dig back into let's see. Go into the replay here. I just want to drop into the 5-minute. Not We'll do some more back testing this weekend. Let's drop down to the 5-minute. Any area that has been choppy, like this, chopped up. Chopped up. Like if I've been trading in an area, chopped up. Chop, chop, chop. So I've learned to avoid and wait for the structure to form. So even this one, right? We had this shift after all the chop chop. It's a lot of consolidation though. You gotta be looking at the higher time frames to see what the heck you're even dealing with. Right? So even in this moment, we're on a downtrend. Did we just take these lows out? Shallowly. Yes, we did shallowly. Potential for them to come back down. So should be feeling very bearish in this moment, right? They take these highs out shallowly. Just roll back up to continue back down, most likely. This area, oh my God, this is what chopped me up. This range. Chop, chop, chop. Chopped me up. I probably did something stupid inside of here. I mean, come on. The only time that I've done well is when I follow the process. So as my last thought to you is this: follow the process. If you've got a process, follow it. Follow your instincts, listen to your inner being, will not lead you astray. And with that, just wanted to share how I could have saved myself this week, but I'm proud of myself for patience, for taking the time to get my mind right, because I just hit like a weird stress peak, and take a step back, recalibrate, and I will only take trades that make sense moving forward. Patience, patience, patience. All right, well, enjoy the weekend. The breeze out here is amazing. So, you guys enjoy it. Drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Shakira out. Also, let me know how you did this week. Cool.